Podcast City Network.
This is Final Score, your number one podcast for sports news. Here are your hosts, Chris and Craig.
Hey guys, we are back here for another exciting episode of Final Score, episode 58. And I'm not gonna lie, we're getting close to 60, man. You know, it's starting to wear and tear a little.
We've hit retirement age, right? Or no, that's 65. Sorry.
No,
we got ways
62?
to go.
No, it's 65 now.
In today's day and age, you got to work till you're almost 70. Just we don't need to get that political right now.
We're working till 110, bro. You know why? Because we always give 110. So at the end of the day, we're here for another great episode, and very important part of that episode that we're having tonight is a sports movie madness finals. We find out who actually won, and I'm going to tell you, it was a lot closer than people thought. So we'll definitely see how that plays out. But first things first, down below, let me get oriented, to my right is none other than Craig Campbell. How you doing, bud?
I'm doing great, man. I just got back in town a couple hours ago, and basically from that to here, and here we are. I'm ready to hear the results. I heard it was a really, really, really razor thin matchup.
Yeah, super razor thin. Definitely going to be crazy. But we also can't forget none other than Jorge DeMoya of the Couch Dads podcast and 90 Miles Media and Flintstone Media. The guy is a renaissance man. How you doing tonight, bud?
I'm doing good, boys. I'm doing good. Gearing up for another big week in sports overall because I'm getting really itchy and I'm getting excited. I know rugby's coming back and we're missing our buddy Kev from Kev the X Factor.
I'm excited. We had golf today. Sports is back.
Yes, glorious day. And we had racing. Let's not forget there was NASCAR.
There was NASCAR and
they tweeted us once. We gotta give them love.
NASCAR was there and the cornhole championships were taking place.
Whoa, sir. You gotta be careful.
Oh yeah, slow down.
Was that on the
family
Ocho?
Product?
No, it was actually on ESPN.
Wow.
they didn't have anything to run at noon, so they figured, well, you know what? Well, let's run the Johnson Cornhole Champs.
Upgrading a lot of programming from the Ocho.
Yeah, upgrade. Huge upgrade.
You know, you guys.
But you know what, boys? I'm doing really good, man. And we had a great day out in the sun. It was beautiful weather out in Miami.
Oh, yeah.
Looking forward to getting some beach time in eventually. Taking our time with the whole reopening and everything going on, but we're getting there, boys. We're getting there.
Yes.
Yeah, reopening comes through, and then our first tropical storm of the year is here. Like, it's just rolling right by.
Perfect timing. Way to go, man. We see what your contribution was out of the Murder Hornets. So at the end of the day, it has been wild. But yes, we do not have Kevin Wathen with us of the Rugby Review. He has his own personal matters going on. But, I'm sure he'll be back next week with all kinds of craziness to bring us, like he always does, because, like George said, he's the X Factor. So we'll see definitely how it works out. But to make sure that you follow all things Final Score, you got to make sure to follow us on social media. So all you have to do is go on to Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Twitch, or Instagram at PCN Final Score. Give us a like, give us a follow, give us a subscription, drop us a line, invite your friends, share with your friends, do everything you can. Why not? Let's go ahead and stand on our heads a little. I'm just saying, whatever you got to do. But just go ahead and give us that follow. And more importantly than anything, leave us a rating. Let us know how we're doing. We always try to bring the very best show that we can, week in and week out, because, we're sports addicts. It happens. So, but it is what it is.
Absolutely. And don't forget, anytime we release episodes, whether it's here live, we always release them later in the week. You can find any of that on any of the content platforms that we're on. We're on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, TuneIn, Stitcher, Podbean, and Google Podcasts. All you got to do, just search keyword Final Score, one word, and you can find any of our past episodes and go ahead and And wherever you listen to podcasts, you'll probably find us.
Yeah, most definitely. And we couldn't do a lot of it without Podcast City Network, our parent network. And you can find them on Facebook at facebook.com/Podcast City Network. Don't mind the voice break. Twitter at Podcast City Net. On YouTube by searching keyword Podcast City Network. And, of course, their website at podcastcity.net. You can also find Final Score on podcastcity.net at /Final Score. So a lot of great stuff going on with them. And they have some huge things going on. Allude to things happening in the future. In the very near future.
Are we announcing some of those tonight? I think I saw. Maybe? I don't know.
But we'll see how the show goes.
We'll see. We're missing Kevin. We got to fill his slot with something. So that'd be a great idea.
I got that something for you, Craig. I got that something for you.
I'm ready. I'm ready.
Are you ready? Are you sure? I don't know if you're ready for it though. I don't know if you're ready for it. So here's this little something for you. We know what tonight is, right? It's
Absolutely.
also the series finale of The Last Dance.
It is.
You know, so I have it DVR'd. I can't wait to watch it. And I have a bunch of notes because guess what? As the resident couch dad that's also a sports fan, what the hell do you think I was watching or have been watching? There's been nothing else on. Okay? So I've been watching The Last Dance, and I got a few fun tidbits for you that I'm going to share to you, and I want to hear what your reaction is. This comes from the film world, from the film industry world. So originally, The Last Dance was going to premiere at the same time as HBO's LeBron's Barbershop in the summer. Okay? Rumor has it that Michael Jordan wanted to release it at the same time to compete with LeBron's product and beat him at that as well.
Wow.
Yep.
And now it is said that Jordan is that competitive that he wants to remind everybody that he's number one, not LeBron.
Here's on top of that, do you remember the day that it was announced they were doing The Last Dance?
Mm-hmm.
It's when Cleveland did their championship parade.
Yep,
it was the same day because he wanted people to remember that LeBron's not the GOAT, Jordan's the GOAT. He's that damn savage.
Yeah, no. Now I'm curious. Do you think he planned that? That's what I had a Zoom call with a few sports buddies of mine, and I'm like, guys, he's the executive producer on the damn show. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he planned that shit. Like that is as cold and as calculated as he is. So
he's even made comments in the past week that he stays away from the Hornets team now because he says that he can still beat players in one-on-one on this roster this year.
Wow.
Miles Bridges on Twitter basically said, "Come at me, bro. Let's do this."
Oh, shit.
Wow.
That just happened this week. I found it on Twitter this weekend, and I was like, can we watch this? I want to see this.
Yeah,
I want to see a Jordan that is basically 60 years old out there balling with guys that are literally under half his age.
Mm-hmm.
I would love to see that.
Yeah. No, so not only that, but Jordan also has Final Cut for these episodes.
Mm-hmm.
All right? He, as the executive producer, he not only is one of the producers, but he also has Final Cut.
Yep.
So when they make a cut and you're like, wow, they didn't really look into the other side, or, you know, they just cut right when he's laughing at Gary Payton, you know, just right in his frickin' face, and, you know, that's because he called it. He said, nope, you're cutting there. I'm done.
Yeah, that's the thing about this. Like, he had to release the rights to have him even in this documentary, and I guarantee you, knowing him, he probably had that as a clause in his contract that he got final say for everything.
Oh, absolutely. And not just that as a clause in his contract. Now, the other thing that is very interesting is that they pushed the date up, right? Because ESPN was begging for something new, for some sort of content that would, you know, keep the sports community involved. Well, ESPN had to dish out an undisclosed extra amount.
Yep.
To allow for Jordan to say, you know what, you can go ahead and release it now. Because he still wanted to release it with LeBron's Barbershop premiere for HBO.
Yep.
So the dude is complete savage. He will always try to, like, be better than anybody else. But what's driving me nuts is, I don't know if you boys have seen it, since The Last Dance has come out, they're putting out the top 10 NBA players
Yep.
of all time. Now, I don't know if you've seen that list. Do you agree with the list that it's like LeBron is 2 behind Jordan? Freaking Kobe was like 6 on that list,
Which is a travesty.
Yeah.
which is a travesty in my opinion. Yeah, I think it's bullcrap that LeBron is still number 2. I even
LeBron-
put him before Wilt Chamberlain, who was better.
LeBron's definitely top 5. But as far as like freak athleticism and like all around effect on the game, he's got to be up in that conversation. Now, Jordan was just asked on that team, like, your whole thing is to score. Like, look at all the guys that got around him. They got some shooters. You had Paxson and Hodges and Kerr and those guys throughout his career. But a majority of the other guys that he had, Luke Longley, Pippen, Rodman, guys that could play defense and rebound. Ron Harper was a 6'7" point guard, and that he was there for defense. Like,
that's what Horace Grant was. Horace Grant was there for defense and rebounding and, putbacks or whatever. But yeah, he was the pure scorer. And yeah, in terms of freak athletic ability, sure, LeBron has that. And LeBron is a pretty good defender. And he can be an assist man. And he can be an all-around two-way player. The issue still is the mental side of it. LeBron's mentality, I mean, like my 6-year-old has better, mental fortitude than he does, bro.
Well, you got to think about it too. Now that it's such a different generation now. Like, LeBron literally was touted as the next Jordan when he was a freshman in high school. Kid has never even done anything in high school yet, and he's already touted as the next Jordan. But Jordan had to fight his way. He had to fight his way onto his high school team as a sophomore. And then, like, going to North Carolina, he was a high-rated recruit, but he wasn't, like, touted to be the next guy to carry the torch of the NBA. So, like, he had a lot to live up to. Like, LeBron had a lot of this stuff, like, spoon-fed to him. And Jordan, you have to have that mentality to do what Jordan did.
Yeah, but also Jordan had this mentality where he could get driven at any circumstance whatsoever. He found ways to get involved in the game. He found ways to motivate himself when there was nothing there to motivate him. Like, it was nothing. It was BJ Armstrong in one of the last episodes had one good game and, like, gave a fist bump.
Yeah.
That was it. That's all it took. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
LeBron needed to get his ass kicked 3 to 4 times in Cleveland before he decided to go with my boy in Miami. And thanks for your athletic talent, and thank you for the championships. See you later. But that was it, man.
I think the thing that really hurt LeBron early in his career, other than the fact that, like, his athletic ability was second to none, but he didn't really start developing a jump shot until after he went to Miami when he had other players with him. But also, like, look at it's not the fault of his own, because you've heard me swear up and down the last couple of weeks whenever we bring this up. LeBron literally had an owner that said, "Screw you, we're not giving you any help. You got to carry this whole thing."
Yeah.
But, like, LeBron had to do it in a bunch of different ways. He had never developed the ability to shoot the ball, and I think he already hurt himself by not getting in the dunk contest right away in his career. Like, he shut it down because he knows he's not creative. Like, he didn't want to get shown up, and, like, that's not the attitude or the mentality that you need to be the greatest.
Yeah, that wasn't the mentality that Jordan had. He wasn't gonna get shown up in whatever it was, whether it's a 3-point contest or a dunk contest. MJ, excuse me, he would have done it just to prove that he could do it.
Oh yeah.
Jordan jumped in the 3-point contest just because he wanted to beat Larry Bird, even though his 3-point shooting in that year was like in the 20% range. It was bad. It was so bad.
Horrible.
But that's the type of competitor that he was.
Yeah, no, of course. That's what sets him so far apart from LeBron. And you're like, oh, well, LeBron was being mentioned as MJ, as MJ, as MJ. You know what, man? People forget Vince Carter was being referred to as MJ. Kobe Bryant was referred to as the next MJ. Fucking Harold Miner from the
Oh
Miami
yeah,
Heat was
Harold
referred
Miner,
to as the next
Baby Jordan.
MJ. Baby Jordan is what they called him.
Yep.
So for LeBron to complain, or not complain, but for his overall persona to have this complaint of everyone's comparing me to MJ. Harold Miner was compared before you were. Kobe
Yeah.
Bryant was compared to him before you were. Get over it. You know, you're going to be compared to this guy because of how good you are.
Yep. You're always going to be compared against the best until you actually take that mantle, and then the next. That's like when Shaq came through, taking that he was one of the best big men of all time, and they were comparing him like he was as dominant as Russell and Chamberlain and Kareem. But then guess what happened? Dwight Howard came through. They were comparing him to Shaq, and then people after that were still getting compared to Shaq. Like, we haven't seen a big man. Now the next one's Duncan. Like, the next big man, like, is you got to compare him to like Duncan and Shaq, and like that's this how things go.
Yeah, no, everything has a evolutionary spot to it and a generational spot to it, right? You know, my first game was watching Jordan play, right? But
Yeah.
you know, as a kid, and then you know, growing up, the first game I took, you know, like my brother to, even though it was a 6 year, him and I are a 6 year difference, was to see Dwayne Wade, was to see LeBron. So you know, it's just there is that difference.
Yeah, it's a generation gap for sure.
Oh no, absolutely. So then I see here on the bottom we have NBA top 10 players. So we're talking MJ, we're talking LeBron, we're talking all these guys. Then who are your top NBA players?
Chris, we'll start with you. You're the editing guru over there. I see you working.
I'm
He's
trying
like
to work
secretly
anyways.
like he's like secretly like, man, George just hijacked final score. Just
Hey, I'm getting
took
work done
over.
no matter what. But at the end of the day, no conversation can be complete without, I feel, Kobe in the top 10 no matter what. And I think the fact that he ended up falling to, 6 on this list, that's honestly kind of
Yeah.
a travesty to me, because look at everything he was able to do with Shaq, without Shaq, with nobody around him. And still, like, even his last game was amazing. Everything he did was just phenomenal. And he was just such a consummate professional and just a guy who always wanted to give back to the sport. How do you not celebrate a guy like that and put him higher on this list? And then add all his stats on top. So I don't know. To me, I think it's kind of ridiculous. But no matter what, top 3 for me would be MJ, Kobe, and then LeBron.
That's my theory behind it too. How do you not add extra points to loyalty? I'm sorry. Yes, it's a business. Yes, we understand that it's a business. But if you say, "Oh, it's just a business," all the freaking time, it's an excuse on top of it that you don't have the confidence or in your organization and or in yourself to make other players better.
Absolutely.
Okay,
Absolutely.
that's the key. You gotta like, if you want to be one of the greatest of all time, you have to go around making your teammates better. So my top 3 have always been MJ, Kobe, and then after that I go with Larry Bird.
Oh, wow.
Like I go old school because Larry Bird made his team better.
That is true.
He was one of the best shooters on that roster. But can you name anybody else from that freaking roster other than maybe Danny Ainge?
Parrish, McHale,
I
Dennis
can't.
Johnson. Like,
No,
you want me to
no.
keep going?
Nah,
Let's
you
keep
can keep going. You're from Boston or something, but you can keep going. I have no freaking clue. I just know that they were such a unit, and it was because of players like Larry Bird.
Absolutely.
I saw a top 10, and it had Bird and I saw all the other players on this list, and I like Bird in his era. I'll give you all that. But if I'm putting up Bird against a lot of the other players that are on that list, Bird's like other guys' game can hold up.
Mm-hmm.
Birds couldn't. He'd be the next Kyle Korver. Like
Oh
that's
my
all.
God, the next Kyle Korver.
He'd be that type of a player in today's NBA. It's a
Christ.
yeah. I mean, I'm not. I'm trying to be real about it here.
I mean, he's just swinging for the fences over here. It seems like.
Yeah, no, that's harsh, man.
I mean,
I mean, look at the players. Like he had to be a lot smarter of a player because he was lacking the athleticism that a lot of other guys had, even in the '80s.
I don't know, man. His creativity was something that you didn't see until later on when he would, get pushed almost basically past the baseline and he'd shoot up and over the backboard and hit nothing but net. Like Larry Bird was one of the first guys to do that. His athleticism had to do with touch more than anything. It wasn't that he was going to do a two-step like D Wade and fly through the middle and just frickin' slam it home. He was going to take one little tiptoe step, put it up and over the backboard, and hit nothing but net. So his athleticism was more about his touch than his freak, athletic ability. So that's why I put him there. Because when was the next guy that you saw that came into the league that had that Larry Bird touch?
The next
Steph
guy
Curry.
that had Ray Allen.
Okay, Ray Allen.
You said the next guy.
The next guy that had that kind of touch, I was gonna say Steph Curry.
I'd say Ray Allen then Steph Curry.
All right, I'll give you Ray Allen because I like him. And Kyle Korver, Kyle Korver. Who's he play for now? Plays in Germany?
No, he's still in the NBA. He plays for. He was just on. Whoever's about to win the championship, that's who he's playing for this year.
Are you calling that official?
He's basically Robert Horry, okay? That's what he's doing now. Is he's following people around to win championships.
So
I'm looking.
That's crazy.
I'm just real quick mocking up here because you said top 10, so I started writing down as many names.
Oh, there you go.
Just off the top of my head, I would have MJ1, Kobe. I'd probably have Kobe. Either 2 or 3. I have like Kobe and LeBron like in a tie for 2. Like
no, man.
Just because of different
different
things they can do.
He's gonna be
that
that guy.
Michigan fan.
Shaq.
Nope.
You want to get in that argument? No. I'd probably still put LeBron 2 just because of the fact that, Kobe was the closest thing to Jordan. But as far as impact on the game, LeBron took that to another level. Kobe was, in all intents and purposes, he's another Jordan, that's not a bad thing. But I think LeBron's impact on the game on the court took it to another level. Kobe had impact off the court. Like he had another reach to the game that we hadn't seen since Jordan. Like in China, he's if he's still alive, he could probably still go play there, and he would be the president of their Chinese basketball league or something. So I would probably put those as my top 3. And then number 4, I would go Magic. I would go Magic.
Okay.
Magic at 4, Kareem at 5, and then the other names I got on the list, in no particular order: Wilt, Shaq, Russell, Duncan, and Bird. And I haven't even done any research.
Just pulling names out of the hat.
Well, you know what?
I'm just pulling off the dome here. If
you're doing the dome hair 10, I'm gonna do my dome hair 10 too. And you're gonna like this. So I got MJ, I got Kobe as my 2. I'm sticking to my guns, and Bird is gonna be my 3. Magic is gonna be my 4, and LeBron goes all the way to 5.
Man.
And it has to do, in my opinion, with his mental state. It has to do with his mental state. His mental state, for me personally, was always rough around the edges. He didn't feel like he could make other players better. He had to go to Miami, to Wade's house, who could make other players better, to learn how to win, because Wade already did it with Shaq.
Crazy.
Okay, so that's my thing when it comes to that. And then after LeBron, you're going to love this. In no particular order, at the bottom of it, I got Wilt, Kareem, and Shaq. But in between that, I got Dirk Nowitzki. Damn it.
Wow.
All the way.
Yes. And you know why?
Represent.
International appeal.
Okay.
Dirk was that guy that took the NBA overseas. He was one of those guys that would just, I mean, come on. He took it overseas. Not just him. You know, there's a group of them.
I would argue that a player that had more impact was Yao Ming.
I was just about to say it too.
Yes.
I'm talking about the impact on the game. I'm not talking about on the court.
On the impact of the game overseas, Yao Ming had tremendous reach. But that also has to do with the volume of people, if you think about it that way.
But you think about this too, like from growth of the game, like China still didn't really have much of a basketball program. By the time when the '92 Dream Team hit the world, international basketball finally started growing. So you started seeing guys like Tony Kukoc coming over, and then other guys, Sabonis coming over. I mean, you can start listing off names.
Vlade Divac.
Vlade Divac was already in the league, but you see other guys like that, and then like China was still kind of way down here. But here's the name real quick because I know we got to move on to get to this stuff. One other name that I would argue should be in the top 10 over Larry Bird. You heard me. Larry Bird. Right. Oscar Robertson, the triple-double himself.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a one hell of a name to pull for sure.
Yep.
Leave it to Craig.
The Big O.
That's the Big O. He was the original triple-double, so it's kind of like it's hard to argue that one. I'm not gonna lie.
It is.
But, it's hard to argue that one in terms of history of basketball. But I mean, it's hard to just pinpoint the top 10 players of the NBA of all time because the NBA itself went through so many different generations.
This is true.
You got to do what the NFL did and what the NHL did, which was the 100 greatest. Mm-hmm. How it takes that many because you have so many different generations.
I loved when the NBA did the top 50 in the 90s. I would love to see them. They're probably going to wait a couple more years, but wait a few years and then do another top 50. And I want to see how many guys from like our generation that we grew up watching make that list. And your boy D Wade included in that.
Hell yeah. Of course he's included in that. Was that a question?
I mean, or we could just wait 27 years till we get to NBA 100 and, see what happens.
Well, I mean, the top 100, it'll be fun. That'd be fun.
Is it really going to be 27 years until the NBA's top 100?
Yep.
Jeez, man. Technically, the NBA's freaking rookies in this. The NHL already did it. The NFL's doing it.
Yeah. NBA wasn't around for that long. But
Jesus Christ.
But yeah, all right. We can honestly go on this for
absolutely.
Another hour.
Absolutely. I'll definitely let you guys know and the fans of Final Score know to stay tuned and hop over to Couch Dad's Pod. We will do a full recap of The Last Dance after the series finale and just debate the hell out of it. And if you boys are in, you jump on the pod and we'll talk about it in depth.
Always down.
That way we don't continue. And then the next thing you know, Chris is changing the title of PCN Final Score to The Last Dance Talk with Couch Dads.
He's about to start. He's like, all right, let me get this done here. All right, we got to give a quick shout out to PodChaser. So PodChaser is your daily source for podcast discovery. Apple Podcasts is no longer the only credible source or place to go when it comes to rating and reviewing podcasts. You can follow creators, browse every podcast ever created and rate and review individual episodes. You can find us on Podchaser. Just go to podchaser.com, search keyword Final Score, also one word. Give us a follow, rate, and give us a review. A lot of fun stuff going on there with Podchaser. We had a chance to meet them at our podcast conference that we went to in March. Great team there. We're looking forward to working with them down the road.
Absolutely. A lot of great guys over there. And you can also find us over on Bullhorn. All you have to do is just go on over onto your Android or your Apple device and search keyword Final Score, one word, and give us a follow and listen for free. And Bullhorn, they put a new spin on listening to podcasts. Bullhorn's mission is to extend the reach of podcasts to everyone's ear, regardless of location or income. No data or expensive smartphones are needed, and you can stream directly from your device or call into your podcast of choice without using up any of your data. So honestly, it's a really great option to be able to listen to all of your favorite podcasts, including Final Score. So definitely make sure you go and do that.
We also want to give a quick shout out to Radius Digital Marketing. The guys, Alec and Sean, they've been extremely helpful with us trying to build our brand and expand our audience on social media. They specialize in ad management, lead generation, brand awareness, and social media marketing. If you're looking to take your business to the next level, contact Alec at AlecAnuzis at radiusdm.com for more information. That's ALEKANUZIS at radiusdm.com.
Oh yeah, you ready for that first announcement?
Let's hear it. I'm excited.
Oh, yeah.
I already know
I'm
it.
excited. What do you got going on?
So guess what? Now, if you have a podcast, you can join Podcast City Network. Who would have thought about that? All you have to do is go over to podcastcity.net/join now and go check out all the great information that we have over there to be able to join Podcast City Network, as we are always trying to expand and include new shows for all the listeners out there. So definitely make sure you go check that out. Whether you have one, you're interested in having one, whatever the case may be, even if you just have a few questions, just drop us a line, let us know, and we'll try to get back to you as soon as we can over on podcastcity.net. You ready for another announcement?
Yeah, we want to welcome. Welcome a few people to the network. Speaking of that,
wow.
Not only are we launching the fact that we're expanding the network, and we actually have consulting services, which you can find more of that about on podcastcity.net as well.
Mm-hmm.
We have some new shows that are joining the network.
That's right. We have none other than Celerity Gaming, who's coming onto the network and bringing their 3 shows: Casual Geeking, Breaking the Gates, and Celerity After Dark, and it's going to be really great stuff. You can see them on all their social media handles that you can see on your screen now at Facebook /Celerity Gaming Inc., on Twitter at Celerity Games CO, on Instagram at Celerity Games, and you can find them on YouTube at Celerity Gaming. I tell you what, a lot of great stuff, a lot of great content. You can find them live now also on podcastcity.net. A lot of great stuff, and I can't wait. There's a lot of great content, a lot of new stuff that we're bringing on, and a little bit of a spoiler. I hope Everett Lee's watching, but we might see some of them on the Everett Lee show soon. Just saying.
Absolutely, yeah. We're looking forward to bringing them in on the Podcast City Network family, and all the other opportunities that we have. I know we have a few other shows that we haven't. It's still a little tight-lipped. Can't give any details on it. But we got a few other shows that are on the pipeline as well that are looking to join the network. So if you are interested, like Chris said, podcastcity.net/join now if you want more information, and we'll be in touch and see if we're good fits.
Absolutely. A lot of great stuff going on over here. Man, exciting.
That's awesome, boys. Congratulations, man, for sure.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Now,
Let's hear more about the Couch Dads podcast. Where can they find you, George?
You can find me wherever you get your podcasts, whether it's Apple Podcasts. We're hosted with Podbean, and you can find it on Spotify as well. So wherever you listen to your podcast, that's where you got to go for the Couch Dads podcast. We've done a bunch of different kinds of episodes that are out there. We've reviewed your favorite dog movies featuring whatever dog is your favorite, and told some really funny stories regarding our dogs, like our actual dogs that we have now. The one that continues to piss me off is my puppy, because we have an above ground pool for the kids that we put in the backyard. And what did the new puppy decide to do? She decided to chew the fucking tubes of the pool.
Naturally.
Gotta love the puppy.
So naturally, but she's still alive, so that's good.
Oh man, so
We-
much
we
craziness.
didn't-
Oh,
That's a horrible thing to say live.
I did forget one little thing. So with Celerity Gaming, they did just tell me they did record a new episode, Celerity After Dark. That will be available tomorrow on Spotify.
Nice.
So definitely make sure to go and check that out. A lot of great stuff. I'm really excited for these shows, man. Like we've been expanding, doing so many cool things, but to be able to move on though, we got to have closure from things in the past, which means we have to wrap up sports
Closure.
movie madness.
Oh no, closure. That's the worst thing.
It is. But that means
Yeah.
we are finally crowning our champion.
Oh,
and
that's
sadly,
true.
it's not Rudy. But, things happen. Things happen.
Are we still sour about that first round exit?
Damn
Like, are we
fans.
still thinking about,
I love the
I
I
don't
have a
know what to
love-hate
tell you.
relationship with the fans.
Rudy was no match for Icebox. Rudy was
no match for Icebox? And to think that for some reason the Little Giants didn't even make the list. It was discussed and argued beforehand, and Craig was like, "No, Icebox.
This has
Icebox
got to
has
go
to be
in.
in there.
I
Icebox
fought
has
tooth
to
and
be
nail
there."
for this movie, and it made some noise. That's
It
what
made
we wanted.
history. It made history. It
I'm sorry you
defeated
had to be-
Rudy.
I'm sorry you had to be the first Virginia in our tournament, Rudy, but
Well,
if that
Sucks for
if
them.
if they're anything like Virginia, maybe next year they'll fare better.
Hopefully.
That's true.
Hopefully.
That's true.
Come on, Rudy. Get one
Maybe
for the
they'll
get-
learn. Maybe they'll learn from their mistakes.
Yeah, but out of that football region, we do have one half of our championship.
We
The
did.
That's
4
right.
seed, remember the Titans made it all the way out of that, beating a lot of great football movies, and made it to the championship up against the Mighty Ducks trilogy, which was the 1 seed in the hockey/miscellaneous movie section.
Well, let me tell you something. Let's talk real quick. Remember the Titans' journey on this, this bracket challenge. The 4 seed is a sweet spot. They say it's a
Absolutely.
sweet spot. Okay.
Yep.
My wife has won 2 fantasy football championships drafting in the 4 seed. Okay. No, I am not sour about it, but we'll talk about that later. I'll put a call into my therapist because fantasy football season's coming back pretty soon, and if she ends up with the 4 seed again, that's it. I'm out of here. But it not only did it take down Adam Sandler,
I was surprised.
it took down, and not only it took down Adam Sandler, it's probably one of the favorites. But I mean, what else did Remember the Titans have to mow through? It took over Blindside. It took over a bunch of different movies, man.
Yeah, it swept the Goal the Dream Begins, and then the second round they had the slight upset over Invictus, which was a powerhouse movie.
Mm-hmm.
Because of X
And
Factor
we know we
Kevin.
had
Because of X Factor Kevin, for sure. All the rugby fans out there. And let me tell you, I would have had Invictus in terms of filmmaking in the Final 4
Oh,
out of this bracket in terms of
Absolutely.
filmmaking.
It was
Oh my
beautiful.
God,
Yeah,
it's beautiful.
pure-
It's
yeah,
so great.
Pure filmmaking, it deserves to be in that conversation.
Yeah.
In the Sweet 16 matchup, remember the Titans went up against the Little Giants. The 16 seed made it all the way to the Sweet 16 before it fell to Remember the Titans. And then you're looking at in the Elite 8, they took down, you mentioned Adam Sandler and Waterboy.
Mm-hmm.
And
Exactly.
they had a date with Destiny in Final Four, taking down the mighty Rocky series to get to this spot in the championship.
Yeah. Now, I had an argument about that because everybody's always like, how is Rocky not in this, title game? And we talked about it a little bit last time, and it's just that the Rocky series is getting outdated.
Yep.
It's, the movies now make fun of the musical montages that were
Yes.
so revolutionary when they first came out. Now it's a bit of a joke, when they do it in a funny spoof or in a comedy sports movie. They'll do that montage, and it'd be more funny than anything else. But also, I don't, and it was questioned by a few of my friends. They were wondering, well, what about Creed? And I was like, no, you had to differentiate between the two. They're completely different stylistically.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they're in the
it's a
same
part-
universe, but they're not
Yes.
the same movie.
Yeah, it's like now, thanks to Marvel and DC, we can now lump movies into universes.
Yeah.
So Rocky has its own universe.
Yep.
So, I mean, it deserves to be in the Final Four. If you think about it that way, Rocky is the equivalent to Marvel. It has its own universe.
Absolutely. Yeah, and that's a tough matchup because on the other side, we talked about the Mighty Ducks trilogy, which is one of the most iconic movies of our generation.
Mm-hmm.
And just looking at the path they had, they bulldozed basically everybody they came across. They dominated the first round matchup against Mystery Alaska. Then the second round, they almost had a complete sweep of Battle of the Sexes. Their Sweet 16 matchup, it was the toughest test they had, and they beat Dodgeball still by a pretty healthy margin.
Yeah.
And then in that Elite Eight, another 2-1 vote against Happy Gilmore, and then the Final Four dominated against White Men Can't Jump. So I mean, they've had a pretty relatively easy road, I would say. That's been a pretty no close calls until now.
Okay.
Against
is it really to say that they didn't have any close calls, because White Man Can't Jump was still a number 1 seed out of the basketball region, and then Happy Gilmore was the number 2 seed out of its region, so it had to go up against the best.
It had to go up against good movies, correct?
It did it. There wasn't like an unusual upset where all of a sudden Mighty Ducks was going up against Coach Carter.
This is true. Yeah. I'm still mad about that, by the way.
I knew you would be. That's why I brought it up.
Yeah. But I mean, looking at it was a 2-1 vote against Happy Gilmore, and then it was a 12-2 vote against White Men Can't Jump. So like, yes, it was another 1 seed, but it was dominating fashion.
Yeah, and that's unusual for a hockey movie if you think about it, because out of all the sports, hockey is 4th. It's still 4th. It's the best sport in my opinion, which matters. But
I'm representing here as well.
I see you're representing. Were you on Twitch earlier?
Sorry,
as the
Florida,
Red Wings
we represent real things.
Oh,
yeah,
God.
no, I haven't changed this since my last stream, which was I don't know, like last week, Thursday, I think.
Yeah, you gotta take down that. You gotta take down that FTB jersey that you got back there though too.
Yeah, they'll come down. We're getting back on the streaming train tomorrow night, and this will get changed. So
yeah, don't worry. When the NHL does their 24-team format for the playoffs, and Tampa Bay has to go up against Florida or something like that, and they have to face Bobrovsky again, watch. Sweet. Just another one. Just another sweep.
Watch, I'll try to predict it, and then it'll happen the way it was supposed to last year. Watch. Anyways, but we have to have a winner. Are you guys ready for it?
Yes, we do. I'm ready for it.
So,
I'm as ready as I'll ever be.
Right? So, with the narrowest of margins, literally decided by a single vote, literally a single vote, our champion of sports movie madness is none other than Remember the Titans, who took down the Mighty Ducks and showed why it's so awesome. I really love this movie. I'm sorry. I'm so happy it won.
I honestly thought you were calling Mighty Ducks here.
Yeah, I honestly thought so too. Wow.
Single vote.
That's an upset in this in the championship. Like,
yeah,
it was gonna be close, but it's one of those things where you call, all right, you know what, Mighty Ducks are gonna pull it out at the end with a 3-pointer at the buzzer or something like that. But I don't know, man.
What Chris is not telling you is that he was the last vote.
Oh yeah,
he knew what it was, and he waited.
You know what's funny though? I was the first one to vote because I voted while on air when we were doing the show last week.
That's true.
Yeah,
I get it in early just so I don't miss out.
Well, I was being bashed by most of my buddies that are hockey friends of mine that we all play in the league. They're like, Mighty Ducks in the finale? Did you rig it? Well, I guess not, because you guys didn't vote enough.
Right, yeah.
Thanks, you jerks.
Bunch of
Obviously, bunch of jerks.
I mean, it's a great movie, though. I mean, looking at you talked about this a few times over, George, about like just the story of this and the actual comparison between what happened in real life versus how they did it in the movie, and just the breaking down of barriers this movie had or just kind of showed of what that time was all about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Absolutely.
no, absolutely. And if you're looking at there's multiple things that you could say. Well, remember the Titans had the edge in certain areas. They did have better cinematography. They did have a better sound editing and better soundtrack.
Hmm.
They definitely had better actors. Denzel
True.
Washington is one of the best.
I mean, and he can
You
act
know,
out
you
any kid. Sorry.
yeah, you had Donald Faison as a kid. You
Yeah,
had Ethan Suplee, who's a great actor,
Hmm.
very funny guy. The big guy. He's very well, very seasoned. Ryan Gosling was in this freaking movie for some reason. Uh,
yeah,
so
Oh,
you had good actors and stuff, and you could say that the filmmaking is what helped maybe push it over the edge. The Mighty Ducks doesn't necessarily look great. It's not exactly like, wow, did you see that camera move? No, it's kind of like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles where you go, didn't they use that kick twice in the
yeah,
same sequence? And you're like, yeah, they kind of did. Well, that kind of happened with the Mighty Ducks too. 'Cause a bunch of these kids freaking decided, oh, well, you know what? We just want this part. Do you guys know how to play hockey? Yeah, of course I do. Keenan? Really? Keenan
yeah.
Thompson?
You
You
really know how
know,
to play hockey?
you really know how to play hockey? Oh, all the time. Yeah, I played
hey,
hockey all the time.
there was Jamaican bobsledders, so I don't see why this is such a far-fetched thing.
It was
Right?
also a Jamaican hockey team. I'm sure all of those guys could play also.
Oh my goodness! But it's absolutely crazy to see. Remember the Titans take down the Mighty Ducks, because the Mighty Ducks did have one thing. Remember the Titans didn't, and that is appeal to children, because you can go take your kids to go see the Mighty Ducks and have a nice family time, get some popcorn, get some candy, get a little soda pop, and have a nice enjoyable family evening. Where you go to watch Remember the Titans, and it's a whole different type of perspective. So at the end of the day, I think that also spoke to people, because I don't know about some of y'all, but I know, at least for me and my playing days, is Remember the Titans really helped me be inspired as a player and be able to go out and play my absolute best and be able to do what I can for my team and be able to put everything on the line day in and day out, whether it's practice or a game, didn't matter. You always stood by your brothers. So, I think that spoke probably to people more so than anything. But man, one vote, one single vote.
Yeah.
One
And
single vote is
don't
the
forget,
inspiration. It was an
yeah,
inspiring movie. That also matters.
Oh yeah.
yeah, don't forget, this movie gave us Hayden Panettiere.
Hmm.
It did. It did give us Hayden Panettiere, and she's cute in the movie. She grows up to be a cheerleader that never dies and heroes for some reason. That
But
really
I
launched
mean,
her career. Funny thing is that she plays the daughter of the coach, and the coach actually had like 6 daughters.
yeah,
And none of them actually did live with him because he was traveling too much, and he was all over the place.
it's
Um,
it's like
so
some of those movies where they take like a bunch of characters and put them into one, and that's what this is in the movie.
yeah,
But yeah, I mean, we had some of the people we haven't named yet. Kate Botsworth was in this movie.
hmm
Will Patton, obviously Coach Yost.
yeah.
Oh yeah.
No,
There's a lot,
Will
there's a
Patton's
lot
a
of
great Will Patton's a great actor, man. I
great
remember him
actors.
from Armageddon as well. He's a very
Oh yeah.
good supporting actor. Uh, so I mean, big congrats to Remember the Titans. It has some of the greatest lines out there. It has the comedy, it has the filmmaking, and I think when it comes down to it, overall, I could see why our audience voted that one extra vote towards Remember the Titans, because as an overall piece, it's brilliant. It's a lot of fun. It has its comedic moments and it has its serious moments, its inspiring speeches and all that. The Mighty Ducks did launch a complete cult phenomenon and a culture and its own hockey team and a bunch of jerseys, but that's okay.
Yeah,
I'm not upset.
yeah. You want to talk about cult status is right. That movie definitely fits that bill. But I mean, this was a great tournament. I hope
A lot of
for
fun.
everybody that had a chance to vote really enjoyed it. Obviously, if you liked it, please, send us a message, let us know, because we're obviously we love to do this again next year. and have it actually be more in line with the tournament, because I think that'd be a lot of fun
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
to
for
do
sure.
to do the our selection Sunday on like the day before or maybe a day or two after the selection show. I think that'd be a lot of fun to be able to
Mm-hmm.
kind of roll that right into one.
Definitely. I definitely think that'd be real awesome.
Absolutely. Hopefully next year we have more back to normal with our sports, and we can do a mix of March Madness and Sports Madness. And I agree. I hope everybody had a lot of fun. I'd love to hear. This is the first time we did this.
Yeah.
Brought this idea to you guys, and I just love the fact that you guys wanted to run with it. Um, so I'd love to hear more opinions from our audience, though, too. What can we do to make it better? What can we do to make it more engaging? What can we do to maybe, spice it up a little bit? I mean, I'm not going to do jumping jacks or handstands, but I mean, I'll take shots if I'm wrong.
But now be careful. That's a tough line to toe right
Yeah, no,
there.
no, wait, no, I'm not. I'll die. I'm not gonna do that.
I'm about to
not
say
gonna do
that. Wait till like the Sweet 16 or something, at least.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a lot. Ooh.
the next
Better pick good,
next
son.
time we do this. Next time we do
Imagine-
this, I'm wrong 5 times. Cheers, George.
He's out. Could be like Kevin, where
Someone
Kevin
call that man
was-
an ambulance.
Kevin, I think, had 1 out of like 8 picks correct.
Yeah, could you imagine? Kevin would be like, guys, I'm gonna have to sign off. I can't feel my face.
Right?
Cut to the interview.
Yeah, just go to the interview. Like ridiculous. But we do have something else we have to address, and that is none other than the Sports Movie Madness fundraiser. Craig, can you give us an update on that?
Yeah, absolutely. So we've been talking about through the whole tournament. We are wanting to raise funds to help those that have been affected by COVID-19. I know in a lot of states this is still very, very prevalent and very real. Here in Florida, we're full phase 1 as of tomorrow, I believe. So we're opening back up, but there are still a lot of people that need our help. So our goal was $1,000. We got to 340. So we've been kind of stuck there for a couple weeks, but everyone that has donated, thank you so much. We genuinely appreciate you helping us out in this time of just insanity that most of us have, and all of us, unless you've lived through stuff like the Great Depression, like this kind of stuff has never happened before in our lifetime. And not a lot of people don't know how to handle it. So we just want to try to help and give back wherever we can. So we will, throughout the week, we're going to announce where this money will be going to help. And obviously, if you are watching right now, a few of you that are, we would love to hear suggestions locally here in Florida that could help with that. We have our own ideas, but we want to get everybody else involved as well. So if you want to nominate an organization that would be helping people with COVID-19, just tweet at us on at PCM Final Score, or here on Facebook, or if you're watching on Twitch, all of our social media accounts are at the top corner of the screen. And let us know. We would love to hear, because we want to be able to find things that are close to people's hearts. So we have $340, which is awesome. It's a hell of a lot better than zero, and it's anything that we can do to help.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah, absolutely, boys. And it's great to give back, and we hope that the Sports Movie Madness bracket provided a little bit of content during a time that has been very difficult for everybody, and just an hour of an escape to talk about nonsense. And that's what we love doing, especially for me, man. I have facts and stats in the back of my mind of this Chrome Dome that I now have. Even some of my friends are like, "Where the hell did you pull that from?" Well, my ass. But
straight out.
It's straight out of it. But we hope it's fun for everybody. That's ultimately the thing. And I know that we've talked about it, boys, and we want to donate these funds to an organization that's going to make an immediate impact. Like what's needed right now as we've gone through everything. Is it more masks that's needed, or is it something else? Maybe helping our bartenders and our waitresses or whatever. I know that with the new phase 1 reopening, especially in Miami is definitely a hot spot. Don't let them tell you otherwise. We have too many crazy people in Miami. That's just the bottom line. So A few things are opening, like commercial and consumer spots, but bars and pubs are still going to be closed. Tattoo parlors are still going to be closed. Massage hotel stuff is still going to be closed. So there's still a few things that are going to be closed and a few people affected by it.
So you're saying we're not going to see Robert Kraft down here anytime soon?
Probably not. Probably not. Which is sucks, man, because that dude would reinvigorate the economy in one night.
Yep. Oh, there's something being reinvigorated.
All the cabaret shows that we have in Tampa and in Miami, they'd freaking be like, "Oh, we got through COVID-19. How'd you get through it?" Robert Kraft visited us.
Robert Kraft came by.
Just took 2 days, we swear. But it's really crazy that that with everything that's been going on, and we really do thank everybody who's been able to join us through it. We try to do the best that we can, obviously, and we've been trying to do what we can to improve the show. But it makes it hard now that our main content hasn't really been running. But as things slowly start getting going, obviously things will slowly get back to normal, and that's all we can really hope for everybody. So we'll definitely see what everything happens, and we thank everybody for sticking with us. But we do have one more thing to do, and it's kind of feel like old times, and that's taking a look at this week in sports history.
Yeah,
I like that.
Bring back some old concepts. I know, George, you talked about you have all this knowledge you just pull out of nowhere.
Bring it. Let's go.
This could be a great one. This would be a great opportunity to hear some more stuff. So I guess I'll kick it off.
Good.
On May 17th, 1939, the first televised baseball game is broadcast on NBC, with Princeton defeating Columbia by a score of 2-1.
That's right. May 17th, 1973, Angels outfielder Bobby Valentine breaks his leg trying to scale a wall to prevent a Dick Green home run during a 5-4 loss to the Oakland A's.
On the same date in 2019, just last year, Brooks Koepka fires a 65, which is a 5-under, to set a new record for the lowest 36-hole score in a golf major at the PGA Championship at Bethpage State Park. He had a 7-stroke. The 7-stroke lead is also a 36-hole tournament record.
That's right. May 18th, 1942, New York City ends all night baseball games for the rest of World War II. No baseball in New York City during World War II.
On May 19th, 1936, the NFL adopts the annual college draft to begin in that year, 1936.
That's right. Same date in 1974, in their first Stanley Cup Finals appearance, the Philadelphia Flyers beat the Boston Bruins. Was it 1-0 to take the cup 4-2, which was the first of 2 straight Stanley Cup final wins, and then we lost the next 6.
And then the last time Flyers were relevant,
2010.
on the same date. On the same date in 2007, in an all-South African final, the Bulls edged the home team Sharks 20-19 in Durban for their first Super Bowl 14 rugby title. The Bulls fly half Derek Hugard boots 2 penalties and 2 conversions. I know Kevin Wathen would have loved that.
That's why I put it in there, too. I put it in there for him, and he wasn't even here tonight. But it's okay, because on May 21st, 1904, that's right, we're taking it back that far, Fédération Internationale de Football Association, FIFA, forms in Paris.
And was already corrupt.
From the beginning. From the beginning.
George, I see your screen over there. You're looking some stuff up here.
Oh, I got one for you already. I was just like, wait a second. I was already looking. On May 17th, on this day in sports history, in 1983, which is a good year, same year my wife was born, the New York Islanders captured their 4th consecutive Stanley Cup, making them somewhat relevant in the NHL. Only for those 4 years. After that, nobody knows where the Islanders play.
Gone.
They play in a shitty stadium that was in Brooklyn. They were the Brooklyn Islanders for a little bit, where you could get seats with an obstructed view where you couldn't see the goalie, which is awesome. Way to go, New York, and supporting your 4-time Stanley Cup winners.
Yeah, they are also just as relevant now as the Montreal Canadiens.
Oh, that's dark.
Ouch.
Ouch.
Just ouch.
I like taking shots here and there, but they're all in good fun because it's true.
It's only good.
Oh my God.
Only because it's true.
This guy.
I like that.
Where do we find this guy?
That's
I don't
awesome.
even know. But
I don't know, man.
but that has been this week in sports history, and sadly, that does bring us to the end of our show. It's been a really fun one of these past, almost 2 months now that we've been doing sports movie madness. It's been absolutely crazy, but so much fun. And we thank you, Jorge DeMoya, for joining us during this time and bringing this idea to us. I know I've had a lot of fun with it. It's so much fun. Chime in there, guys. It's okay. I know it's sad. I know you guys.
I was
don't want it
waiting
to
for
end.
Craig to say something, man.
Yeah, and I was waiting for you. I figured he was talking to you directly. So
It's all right. Y'all are just crying
No.
internally. It's okay. I get it. It's a sad time. But you know what? We've crowned our champion. Hopefully, we're going to do this again next year. But obviously, this probably won't be the last time we see you. We're going to do some more stuff, and then we're going to come invade you, and you're going to regret you invited us. So it's going to be a real fun time, and it's going to be great. But sadly, this is the end of our episode. So George, again, where can they find you and the Couch Dads Pod?
Well, boys, first and foremost, thank you so much for having me on for almost what feels an eternity during this COVID-19 for the Sports Movie Madness. Thank you to PCN Final Score and the Podcast City Network for bringing me on, bringing me part of your family. To your audience, you guys have some great fans out there, and I absolutely love that they've chimed in and jumped on to follow myself at Couch Dads Podcast on Instagram, or the Couch Dads Pod on Twitter. You can also join a fun little Facebook group that we just started called Couch Dads. Go on that Facebook group, post some ridiculous dad life stuff that you got going on, whether it's your kids are driving you nuts, you find a funny meme, funny movie, whatever it may be. Tell us how your kid got a marble stuck up their nose like mine did. Or how your son turned around, ran into a wall, knocked out his front tooth 2 years before he needed to. So he'll be going around without a tooth.
Maybe he'll be a pro wrestler.
He looks like a hockey player right now. I'll tell you that much. He straight up looks like a hockey player.
once the NHL season does come back, we're absolutely going to invite you back. We got to talk hockey with you.
Oh, absolutely.
We'll talk Panthers.
Yes, we'll talk Panthers, and they're winning the 24-team Stanley Cup March Madness that they're doing. We'll see how that goes. I'm definitely going to not be a stranger. I see a few of the comments here, but you can find me at Couch Dads Podcast. You can find me at 90 Miles Media, also with Flintstone Media or the Florida Podcasting Network, and see what's going on over there. Thrilled to be a part of this, and I will be back, boys. You'll be ready.
Definitely. And just to address some of the comments that are currently being posted in the chat, I will flex on them haters. The recount was put through. Remember, the Titans still won by 1 vote.
Do you only read the comments when somebody says "don't flex"?
Yeah,
Is that like a trigger word or something?
It is. And you know what's funny? I don't even have to read it. I just have
It's like a keyword. It's like a keyword. Somebody says, "Chris, don't flex," and he's like, "Who fucking said that shit?"
Sorry, he said don't flex. I couldn't help myself.
Ever watch Always Sunny in Philadelphia? Why are you? Stop flexing! I'm always flexing.
I don't know if you heard. I did over 1,000.
All right, Ron Burgundy.
Oh my goodness!
I have many leather-bound books.
Oh. Smells of rich mahogany. But at the end of the day,
glad you came to the gun show.
Only if you bought tickets. Anyways, but we've had a great show. Thank you so much for joining us. Make sure to follow Final Score on all of our social media outlets at PCN Final Score on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Twitch, and Instagram. And of course, don't forget to check out our newest shows joining the network that are part of Celerity Gaming, whether it be Casual Geeking, Breaking the Gates, or Celerity After Dark. Definitely make sure to check them out on all their social media outlets and on Spotify and YouTube. So definitely make sure to go check that out right now because it is on there and it is awesome. You can also find them on podcastcity.net. But we are there. So join us next week for episode 59. We'll have a graphic out at some point. I don't know when we're doing it, but it'll be next weekend. So definitely join us, and we'll be on Facebook and Twitch. But until then, I'm Chris. That's Craig. That's George. And you just watch Final Score. Have a great night.